Welcome to All Things Greater Burlington, where you will hear from the movers, shakers, and changemakers that are moving Greater Burlington forward. Here is your host, Steven Brody.
Welcome to All Things Greater Burlington. The Greater Burlington Chamber of Commerce and the Greater Burlington Partnership gathers every year for our annual dinner to recognize excellence in the community. We all gather together and we have a nice meal. We celebrate the achievements of the past year, and we also have our annual awards. One of them is the Community Impact Award, which recognizes an individual, business, or organization that has made a significant impact in Greater Burlington. This year's recipient was the Community Impact Award was the Build My Future event, which takes place every spring at SEC. And the winners that put that on represent the Southeast Iowa Builders Association. And just to go a little more into detail, SEIBA invites all 7th grade students to a day of exploration and hands-on learning at the Agri Sports Arena on the SEC campus. The Build My Future event is a way to provide hands-on construction-related hands-on activities to area 7th graders to inspire them to look into a construction career. Isn't that wonderful? And so to be with us today to talk further about the award and the Build My Future event are Brian Johnson, representing Southeast Iowa Builders Association, and Mike Harris with Carly Nelson and Company, who is a proud exhibitor and sponsor for this event. The gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First thing is congratulations on being recognized for winning the Community Impact Award. What does that mean to you, to be recognized by the community for what you do?
Well, I mean, it came to us as a surprise a little bit, just because we had just basically started this event, it's the reason for it is to help our young people in the community and to support their exploration and growth towards a certain path or career. It was great to be recognized for all the hard work. Basically, it's all done through, the volunteers of businesses and people that help out make the event happen. So, it's great to recognize those people who worked hard to put it together, too.
Can you talk about what brought this idea about for the need to do something like this?
Well, SEIBA is, an organization of anyone related to the construction field, whether that's a contractor or trades company of some sort, or even made up of financial and insurance related industry people that come together and make SEIBA happen. And, their goal is to help, grow their workforce. And so we were looking at ways to spark that interest. And, we had some other activities that we have for with our, we promote through our scholarship program, some different things with our older students. But we really wanted to look at, sparking that interest earlier on. And we looked at all the different events that go on in the community and thought 7th grade was, one, it's a grade level that doesn't have a lot of those kind of events. Also, my background in education, just have an understanding of 7th grade are kind of that perfect age where they're trying to become more responsible and take more ownership of their lives and thinking a little bit about the future a little bit and kind of want to get away from their parents' shadow a little bit. Yeah. So we figured this is the best time to hit them as 7th graders. They're getting ready to head into high school and with any career, whether it's in the construction or whether it's in business, marketing, health, occupation, whatever it is, there's those ancient stereotypes of what those careers are like. And a lot of times students don't get impacted by those later on. So we figured let's get them interest in construction and all the different things involved with it at an early age. So.
Sure. No, excellent. And Mike, representing Carly Nelson, your company is a is a wonderful corporate citizen and involved a lot in the stuff that goes on. What was it that you think, made sense for you to be a part of this event?
Well, obviously, finding workers in the trades has become harder over the last few years. And actually, over the last 5 or 6 years, I've started going out and doing presentations for high schools. So I go to all of the area local high schools and do presentations, mostly with their building trades classes, but just to give them an idea of, what it is, what we can offer. And like Brian said, the stereotype of, can I be successful? Can I have a good career with this? So we try to break that and show them what you can do. But, and like you said, the earlier the better. So we decided it'd be great. And it was a blast. We had a good time.
Yeah, I've heard from students, high school students, that oftentimes talk about the importance of learning about trades and opportunities, but they also shared how they thought it was important even earlier in the middle schools to expose them to these opportunities. And so that makes a lot of sense, especially now since you say that you focus this is on 7th graders, because you hear a lot 8th graders do this and 9th graders do this. And you don't oftentimes hear that the 7th graders are involved. So we're talking, is that like 13, 14-year-olds? Is that about the
12,
age range?
12, 13, yeah.
12, 13.
Yeah.
And also, of course, getting them out of the classroom and getting them into a different environment is going to change their attention span, isn't it?
Right. Well, and also, just the change in society. I mean, some of these students, when they go and do, thinking of some of the activities that Mike did with students last year, where they did a lot of, they're all hands-on activities, but I mean, his activities were focused around the tool showcase area, and doing something as simple as using a hammer or using a screw gun. I mean, back when I was a kid, that was nothing for us to go outside and beat on someone with a hammer. But sometimes some of these kids walking up to Mike's station for his first time to use a saw or use a hammer, that might have been the first time they really even picked one up. So there's that change also. And like I said, society's always changing, but that's something else of doing this event is putting these tools in these students' hands because they don't get a chance to.
How much of a lift was it to make this happen? You come up with an idea. Oh, this would be nice if we could do this, if we could pull this off. But then to take those next steps, I guess, to then go to the schools and get their buy-in, right? Was that hard, or was that easy? How did that go?
Schools, I mean, for the most part, bought into it pretty good, just because here again, one, there isn't a lot of competition within activities for 7th graders, but 2, they saw the importance of it. And that's why, each year we've seen major growth in the number of schools who participate. So that's, and the feedback we got from the educators just proves, and probably why we continue to see growth this year is, a lot of the teachers said, I saw, certain students they were more engaged today in this activity, doing these events, than they were all school year, basically.
Yeah.
And so I mean, that's the other importance of it, is back to the whole thing of some of these students that never picked up a hammer before.
Yeah.
So just, giving them something that's different, something that is in their interest that they can see they can be successful at.
Mike, can you talk about like some of the activities that take place? I mean, I see here there's a tool showcase, there's an equipment showcase, there's exterior construction, there's interior construction. When a 7th grader shows up to this event, what are they introduced to?
So we would just focus mainly on the tool showcase, and I was honestly so busy that day I didn't even get around to really see what else there was, because it was nonstop from beginning to end.
Yeah.
So we had multiple different saws, drill guns, metal cutting tools, things that a lot of people don't use, or, maybe more based in the industrial and commercial construction. So they got a chance to see some of that. But yeah, I did. Mine was just a reciprocating saw, cordless reciprocating saw. And I had 2 8-foot 4x4s that we cut up into about 3/8 inch pieces completely. like
Okay.
8 foot. So, I mean, 3/8 of an inch at a time.
Wow.
And I went through 2 8-foot 4x4s. That's how much interest there was, and how that was another thing I was going to say about 7th graders is I think that's a great age because they're not quite as clicky and, worried about everybody seeing them or what they're doing as maybe high schoolers or, you get a little older. So they were just in it, they had a blast. But so yeah, Brian could probably speak more of the other things. We had 8 tables set up all with different types of hand tools, and then they just made their way around that. And then one table focused on safety. So just like all of the gear that we wear to keep ourselves safe doing it.
I would imagine that this was all time-based, like there's different stages or different stations, I guess is the right word. How much time did people have at each one?
Well, so you talked about the 4 different areas. So basically we have the students grouped by school groups.
Okay.
And they're in those 4 different areas for 30 minutes. And so within that group, there's nothing, so they don't, like in Mike's case, he was doing the tool showcase area. And so besides the ones that Mike had set up, we also had some virtual welders set up. We had the pallet jack relay obstacle course, which always is a riot to watch. But the students don't have to go to all of them. They have 30 minutes to do as many of those as they want.
Okay.
In exterior construction, for example, we had Ideal there with some concrete slabs that they poured that morning, and they put additives in it so it wouldn't set up anytime soon. So we had students finishing concrete all day. So they have that 30 minutes to be in that particular arena, if you want to call it, doing usually about 15 hands-on activities they can choose from. So.
Yeah. And obviously, you're dealing with tools, so safety is a big issue there. So how do you handle that? Like when they get to each station, is there like some little orientation about safety first before they do any of the hands-on?
We send out a safety orientation video to kind of just give an overview.
Okay.
And just some do's and don'ts kind of thing. Because just like the equipment showcase, where we have a bunch of large machinery around.
Yeah.
Not that they're all running or moving or anything, but just even a stationary piece of equipment has pinch points and different things so we explain about all that in this orientation video.
Yeah.
We give each student that when they arrive their own pair of safety glasses to wear as well.
Okay.
So that they're all safe that way.
Uh-huh.
Otherwise, most of the events between the exhibitors and volunteers, they go over any particular safety to that particular activity, and it's pretty much somewhat one-on-one kind of thing. Some of it depends on the activity. Some of it's a little more not quite as safety isn't quite as much as a problem, but like with Mike and his saws or using some, or even like if they're hammering boards together, there isn't enough space to do a lot of them, but typically, it's pretty easy to go over the safety with them. And that, we're dealing with, trades professionals that have seen the safety and they know particular, what are some of the true safety concerns to go over with them too.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We had one employee at every table, so no one was by themselves at any point. And some of the things that are maybe a little bit more dangerous or your, ability to get hurt, the kids just wouldn't do. They would just watch, as one of our employees did that. Or like on mine, I would cut all of the cuts with a circular saw first, so there was a nice deep to drop the blade down into my cut, and then they just finished it. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I had some kids get in line 4 or 5 times. I mean, they just were having a blast doing it. So,
did you happen to have any anecdotes as to like were there kids that came who already had an interest in construction?
Yeah, maybe not so much that as a parent or someone who does that kind of work.
Yeah.
So you could definitely see a kid who said, "Oh, that's a Sawzall," and just grab it and go to town, as opposed to one that had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then how do you handle students that might be a little hesitant to want operate something?
Well, that's where our volunteers come about because, the schools, of course, send their teachers and different adults with them, but then we also have volunteers that go around because sometimes students just need the encouragement to know they can go do it.
Yeah.
So and our volunteers work perfect for this because sometimes it's easier to listen to adult that you don't know than an adult that you're with all the time. So
I think that applies in many arenas.
Yes. So when a volunteer comes up to you and goes, "Hey, this station looks like there's not many there. Let's go try it out." And so some of those kids that were a little apprehensive or concerned or whatever, and as the time went on, more got like,
Sure.
"Hey, this I can do this."
Yeah.
Yeah, once they saw a couple kids do it too, that is always a huge help.
Yeah.
I have a thing that I do when I go around to trade shows with kids high school age usually, but where it's a challenge to run 3 screws into a piece of plywood as fast as they can, and they race against each other. And almost every time it's nobody wants to do it and everybody's kind of hesitant about it. And then as soon as a couple people get started, then there's just a line, and all day long it's just kids doing that.
I would
think
figure
that
there
helps.
has to be some competition.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
But that's where, like I said, that's a key part of having just volunteers that aren't even necessarily, tradespeople, just people with a good heart that want to help kids that they don't have to know any more about the skill saw than the kid himself, but just to come up next to that kid and say, "Hey, let's go try this out together. Show me how this is done."
I'm glad that you mentioned that because I know that you do the event every year and it's in May of every year, and you do need volunteers. And so I'm glad that you mentioned that you don't necessarily have to be in the construction trades or building trades to volunteer. You'll take anybody
Right.
who has that heart
Right.
to want to help.
Right. Yeah, because sometimes there's all kinds of ways to volunteer, whether it's doing something as simple as handing out safety glasses when kids come. Sometimes the trades professionals could use help with their station, not necessarily doing the activity, but if they have a lot of hardware or different things, just make sure, help get things gathered up, keep things organized. When you have that many kids coming at you nonstop, just having that extra set of hands to help keep things organized. Or like I said, probably one of the more important things is just to, help support students, to encourage them to do things. So there's all kinds of things to do. And if there is someone that has, whether maybe they're a retired tradesperson, they can, definitely step into some kind of role in the exhibit itself and help out as well. But we had volunteers, like one of the exterior construction stations was a wheelbarrow obstacle course. We had a pair of wheelbarrows and they had some cones and some different things, and they had to run between that. So we had some volunteers to run that. I mean, it didn't. They didn't need to be, certified contractors to run a wheelbarrow thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's all kinds of ways to have fun with students and encourage them to try things.
Yeah. Well, obviously, you were recognized for the event with the award. When you're planning this next one, and again, we don't know when this is going to air. When you're planning the next one, are you thinking of keeping it the same, or are you looking at ways to change it up at all and maybe introduce a different element, a different station, something new?
My hope is that more and more of our exhibitors, I mean, not all exhibitors are like Mike that have, interacted with, go to schools on a regular basis and do activities with them. So for some of our exhibitors, this may have been one of the few times they've really done something with students, let alone somebody at a 7th grade age. They may have gone and talked to a high school class or something like that, but for some of them to step out and almost get out of their comfort zone and interact with 7th graders in a hands-on activity, it was a big thing on their part as well. And so, my hope is that those exhibitors kind of grow their confidence to work with 7th graders and look at how they can make their activities not necessarily interesting, but just more involved. And I think because after each, after our event last year, a lot of the exhibitors were like, "Oh, I know exactly what I'm going to do next year," because they'd never done it before. They didn't know what a 7th grader could or couldn't do.
Yeah, right.
And so, just that getting them more comfortable with working with 7th graders, I think it's not so much that we need to push anybody to approve. I think the companies, I mean, they you know, at the end of the day, they're probably just as tired if they put in a full day work at a job site. But I think they had fun and enjoyed it. So I think if anything, they want to push themselves to make it better for the kids.
And Mike, I think that's a good question. Did you have the freedom to decide what you wanted to do, or were you directed that we would like you to do this?
Well, we were asked to do the tool area, which was great. And then Brian and I just kind of worked back and forth with each other on what the booths were. So we both had some ideas, and we just kind of put those together to create the 8 spots that we set up.
Yeah.
So, and just kind of tried to incorporate all of the tools we use and how we use them. And so, it worked well working together. And now that like a lot of the stuff we had to fabricate, like we made a table up that had a bunch of different bolts sticking up out of it so they could put different size nuts and use different wrenches. So now that's already made, so this year all we have to do is get it back out and go, as opposed to getting all set up from last year. So that worked really well.
Are you thinking of ways to make your station even better this go around?
No, I don't know. We had a pretty good time.
You had a pretty good station, yeah.
It was kind of funny because it was right near Mother's Day, and every time one of the kids would cut one of the pieces off, I'd tell them that was a coaster that they could give their mom for Mother's Day.
Excellent.
So I didn't even have to clean up the trash that way. But no, I think it was pretty successful, really. I think there was a lot of thought put into it ahead of time and a little bit of work to get it set up, and it worked out pretty well. So we'll tweak some stuff, sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, did the kids take home anything other than the safety glasses and maybe the coasters for Mother's Day?
From us anyway, I think that was it.
There was some different things at different stations that students were able to take home. And actually we're providing a drawstring bag this year just because they had some different little hands-on things or things like with the wheelbarrow obstacle course, they were given candy if they whichever that kind of stuff. So so there's some miscellaneous stuff. So they will have a drawstring bag to put that stuff in this year.
Stickers. I remember seeing kids with stickers.
Are they doing stuff with geodes also?
Yep. I believe it had been Cessford, I think.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, if I remember right, that they brought geodes from the quarry and had students breaking that. But when we have
breaking geodes,
And
was there much encouragement there, or did they just go right at it?
No, they have a special fixture and tool to break them. So no, it worked out. Yeah, they have it down to an art. So
okay.
But when we have exhibitors reach out that are having interest, we have them kind of choose which area they want to be a part of. Because if, for example, if you're involved in masonry, you're definitely more an exterior construction person than an interior construction person. So, and then with my background in education, if they need assistance with coming up with activity ideas, I'm more than happy to facilitate that and help them come up with some ideas based on what they do, what their trade does.
As this event progresses from year to year, do you anticipate, could there be a good challenge in running out of space, of not having enough space for, hey, we've got all these exhibitors who would like to show up. Oh, we don't have enough space. We got to go find another location.
As long as the weather cooperates, I don't think we could ever run out of space.
That's good.
It's more or less just coming up with enough activities in each area. Because you gotta, in the future, we're looking at having about 140 kids in each of the areas. So you got to divide that over a lot of activities to get it down to a number that's manageable.
Yeah.
You don't want 10, 15 students around one table, asking Mike to cut a little piece of wood. You need to kind of water it down a little bit to spread the students out a little bit. So that's probably our biggest challenge is, of coming up with more and more exhibit ideas and people to do those exhibits.
Yeah.
Because spring is nice because of the weather and being able to be outside and the kids are excited.
Yes.
But also unfortunately it's also a real busy time for the exhibitors that we're trying to use.
That's right.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword. I mean,
yeah, if the weather's good, they're out working.
Yeah. So it's so I mean we understand that. I mean, I'm always impressed with the amount of support that we get from the businesses that do come, because I understand that they're giving up making money basically to come do this to support our students and hopefully grow their but they all in return they're hoping to grow the workforce in Southeast Iowa, because that's the other key to this is we have so many young people that are talented that we want to keep in the area, and that you don't have to go somewhere else to get a good start, have a nice good career and be a part of something like they can by going through one of the trades. So
and of course this is sponsored by the Southeast Iowa Builders Association, so we're not just talking Burlington. So what school districts, I forgot to ask you, what school districts get invited to come to this?
We invite any school district basically in the area. This school year we're projected to have about 15 school districts participate. Most of them are Des Moines and Lee County school districts, but we have school districts as far as Tumwa and Davis County coming this year.
No kidding.
Yeah, Fairfield.
Wow.
So
your word's getting out.
Yes. Yeah.
How are they? So is this all you, Brian? I mean, how are they finding out? How's Fairfield and Ottumwa finding out about this?
Well, I mean, a lot of it's just, here again, word of mouth. People post stuff on different educational sites. There's a lot of push right now in education for work-based learning. So, all these school districts are looking for good work-based learning activities. So when they see one, they get. But I had schools contact us from all over the state, and of course I'm like, you really do you? At first, I think they saw Des Moines County Fairgrounds and they thought Des Moines, Iowa.
Oh, sure.
And I'm like, you realize where Burlington is compared to like Storm Lake, right? So, but it also entailed me to have a conversation about, well, here's some information. Reach out to. I mean, most areas have some kind of building association of some type. I said, reach out to your local building association. If you guys want to come down and see what we're doing, take it back, do your own thing. So
yeah. Mike, when you go and you talk in the school, you said you go and talk in the schools. Mm-hmm. When you do that, what's your message that you're trying to get across to the students?
Well, I mean, 100%. Just this is what a career can look like in construction, and like I said, I primarily focus on the building trades classes. I don't do them for all classes, but. So some more than that. I did some IJAG discussions in Keokuk, but I mean, I have about a 35 minute presentation that really breaks down everything from how much you can make to start with to how much you can make at the end of your career and what your retirement can look like and all of it. And then obviously going through, what we do day to day, hands-on stuff, and show, projects we've done, and just try to catch some interest in, our company and commercial construction as a whole. So that's definitely what it is.
Is there any sort of follow-up that occurs either from you and your presentations or even the event itself? Is there any follow-up as to how the students felt, or it's like, hey, I really enjoyed this and I want to pursue this?
So we do send out a survey to our exhibitors and to our educators to get feedback about the event, to do that. I know in the future, here again, that's some growth area that we want to improve on, is have that follow-up with students. Here again, maybe tie back some of our exhibitors that, if you're an exhibitor from, let's say, the Fort Madison area, well then, here's a way for your end to get back in to have those discussions, maybe hit this group of students again, let's say when they're in 10th grade or something, and interact with them. So there's a lot of possibilities that we're looking at to grow this process to help. Here again, it all goes back to helping these companies and the students kind of learn about what the possibilities are.
Absolutely. Well, we're just about out of time. So obviously, if folks would like to find out more about the Build My Future event, whenever, whatever year that is,
Right.
The best bet would be to go to your website.
They can go to the SEIBA website, or our SEIBA Facebook page also has information about it, and we post everything on our Facebook page as well about the SEIBA events coming up. So
Excellent. Well, Brian and Mike, thank you so much for coming in today and sharing all things Build My Future. And again, most importantly, congratulations on
Thank
being
you.
recognized with getting the Community Impact Award. And we wish you continued success and that we see an even greater attendance this with your next event.
thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you're listening to our podcast, and give us a call at the Greater Burlington Partnership if you have any suggestions on future guests. Until next time, we'll see you again on All Things Greater Burlington.
You have been listening to All Things Greater Burlington with Steven Brody. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to catch all new episodes. To learn more about All Things Greater Burlington, visit greaterburlington.com/ATGB.